Hello and welcome to your Saturday morning chatty scent corner, where we talk about what's new, what's coming, and what we really need to have a good chat about. And today I have for you 10 fragrance updates. We're going to have a good tea as always at the beginning, and we're going to have a little bit of a discussion around flankers, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And then, of course, at the end, I have a couple of first impressions to share with you. So let's go ahead and jump right in, because I don't want this video to be very long because we're still trying to enjoy the last days of summer. Which, by the way, is it still really hot where you are? Because here it is really hot this weekend. I mean, we are in the 90s, but it's going to feel like we're in 100 plus. So imagine. So we just need to get out there and enjoy, because very soon it's going to be cold anyway. But anyway, let's go ahead and jump right in. But before we do so, if this is your first time here, I'm Arahi, and I'm your fragrance concierge because I'm totally committed to creating the best fragrance experience for you. I upload videos multiple times a week, and on this channel, we love to talk about all types of fragrances. So if that sounds like the type of content that you're interested in and like a good plan, then please consider subscribing, give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget, leave a comment. Let's go, fam. All right, fam, so it is time for our tea or topic of the week. This week, I don't have a tea for you. It's been, a pleasant week. It had its challenges, but I don't have any tea to report to you or anything that I want to bring up, that's a little bit sticky. So today we're just going to have a good topic. And this one is a real fun one, because you know how we're always talking about flankers, and we're always saying, like, how many more flankers can we get from certain collections, right? And now everything has a flanker, everything, right? So here's what I would like to know today, because I was thinking, what are the different collections that I have that have flanker after flanker after flanker? So what I did is I pulled them and I made a list. And today, what I want to know from you is, if you had the power to stop the production of flankers of a specific brand or a specific collection within a fragrance house, which one would it be? But I'm going to help you, because when I looked into my perfume collection, I selected seven that I really think we need to consider, right? And for different reasons. Some of them have been launching flankers for years and years and years. Others have just started, but they're starting to look like they're planning to continue to launch flanker after flanker. But anyway, so here are some choices. Now remember, all you have to do is share with us from this list, or if you have another brand that you really think has a collection that they need to stop putting out flankers for, just let us know. But you also have to tell us why you think the flankers need to stop, because we just can't be, arbitrary like that. So here are the choices that I'm going to give you, right? First, and I think you're going to appreciate this one. Oh, and let me scoot over so that I can show you one fragrance from each collection. Okay, so the first one, you're going to love this one. I think you're going to agree with me on this one. So this is YSL Black Opium. Now, the first one I have here in my records, that the first one was launched back in 2013. And here we are in 2025, and every year we get a new one, right? So my question is, do you think that that's the one that we should stop? Should we request that they stop, producing or creating flankers within that YSL Black Opium collection, because we've had enough? I mean, we've had so many different flankers. I'm not even going to tell you how many, because you would be like, oh, Arahi. No, but truly. So between launching flankers where there's just a little bit of a change in the notes, all the way to like the special edition, or limited edition or special edition bottles that they've had through the years, there's been quite a number. So that's option number one. Then option number two would be Lancôme La Vie est Belle. And the first one that ever came out was in 2012, according to my records. So do you think that it should be La Vie, or do you think that it should be YSL Black Opium? Or do you think it should be both? Anyway, then the next one is Valentino Born in Roma. Now, are you surprised that I brought that one up? You know, I love Valentino, Born in Roma, the entire collection, whether it's the Donna, and by the way, this would include, right, stopping the flankers for Donna and Uomo. I'm just saying, like, if we wanted to suggest that they stop producing flankers for these collections and just create something new, because we love these fragrance houses. But anyway, oh, and the first one, according to my records, was in 2019, but since 2019 all the way up to 2025, we've had quite the number of flankers coming out of the House of Valentino specific to the Born in Roma collection, whether it's the Donna or the Uomo. So you let us know in the comment section which one you think we should ask them to please stop creating flankers and just give us something new. The next one would be Dolce & Gabbana Devotion. And the first one that I'm showing in my records is 2023. But it just seems like, I think we have 3 at this point. And honestly, I think they're going to keep producing them. I think they're going to keep producing them because every year we get one now. And while I love that DNA, I don't know, is it time to stop? But anyway, then the next one is Burberry Goddess. And I can almost hear some of you like, what, Arahi? Oh no, oh no. And I totally understand, but we've already had like three. We had the first one, the Intense, and then this year we had another one. It's just like, now it just seems that every year they're going to be creating a new one. And yeah, and the first one I showed was in 2023, just like the Dolce & Gabbana Devotion collection. It started in 2023, but ever since it launched, every year we have a flanker. The next one, oh, you're really going to love this one. So the next one is Jimmy Choo, I Want You, because you guys know that Jimmy Choo has different fragrance collections. Well, this one would be for Jimmy Choo, I Want You. And the first one was in 2020, and we've had quite the number of them. Every year we get one at least, right? So yeah. So is it that one that we should say, hey, you know, enough. We've had enough of this one. Can we just move on to a different DNA? And last but not least would be Givenchy L'Interdit. And the first one was in 2018. But the first one, actually, the real first one, if I recall correctly, was like in 1957 or something like that. And then I think it was in 2003. Yeah, maybe in 2003 that they started again with that entire collection. And we have quite the number of flankers for L'Interdit. Oh, I didn't know we had that many until I started to do my research. But anyway, so those are 7 choices for you. But as I said before, you don't have to pick from those 7. If you have another collection in mind that you're like, Arahi, I have had it with flanker after flanker of this specific collection, I'm good. Can we please just move on? Anyway, so please let us know in the comment section, which one is it that you recommend, that if at all possible, you know, in a nice and respectful way, would it be, you know, okay for you guys to stop producing flankers for this one? And could we move on? Anyway, moving on. All right, so let's go ahead and start with our updates of the week. And the first one is from a fragrance house that, you know, it's not new, but it's very new to my collection, and it's Bon Parfumeur. And, you know, they're the ones that have like Myrrh Shadow and Iris Cartagena, which we're going to talk about today, because guess what? We have a flanker. Yes, they have a flanker, and the flanker is for none other than Iris Cartagena. You know, 502 Iris Cartagena. Well, now there's another one. And this one is also called 502 Iris Cartagena. Should it be Cartagena or Cartagena? Because if I say it how I really read it, it would be Cartagena, right? You know, like Cartagena, Colombia. That's really how I get it, but maybe that's not the way that we should say it. But nonetheless, okay, they have launched a flanker to the original. So the original was an extrait. And this one is my understanding. It's supposed to be an EDP, an Eau de Parfum. And typically you get like the EDP first and then later they launch the extrait, where here they did it a little bit different. But let me tell you what Bon Parfumeur has to say about this new flanker and launch, right? And the perfumer is the same as in the extrait, which was Clement Marx, if I recall correctly. But anyway, this is what he has to say about, you know, the vision and inspiration, etc. for this, you know, flanker. I sought to infuse Extrait 502 with a breath of fresh air, working around the existing ingredients. So if I hear it correctly, if you own that fragrance, the extrait of 502, wow, it is truly a powerhouse. Truly, you cannot overspray that fragrance. It is really something. So the fact that he's saying that he wanted to infuse it with a bit of a fresh air tells me that maybe this version is going to be a bit airier. But then I looked further into it and I did a comparison of the notes of the extrait versus the notes that we're going to find in this new Eau de Parfum. And let me tell you my findings. So here are the notes of the new one, the flanker. Rum, cocoa, mandarin, mandarin petit grain, orris, sandalwood, vanilla, eucalyptus, coffee, cocoa butter, papyrus, and vetiver. So that is what you're going to find in the new flanker, in the EDP. So basically, if we compare, then this is what I found, right? So they have added eucalyptus and cocoa butter, not cocoa because the original did have cocoa, but they have now added eucalyptus and cocoa butter to this new one. And they have removed the sugar cane, which makes me wonder if this one is going to be a little bit less sweet because, sugar cane is pretty sweet. That's like the raw material of processed sugar for the most part. So anyway, so I don't know, what we can expect because they have added eucalyptus. I'm not too familiar with eucalyptus and fragrances, to be honest with you. I don't know how I'm going to feel about it. I know how to pick up the note. I've worked with a couple of fragrances, but it's not one that's really present in many of the fragrances that I tend to pick up or love. But anyway, we will see because I think that Bon Perfumer makes incredible fragrances and I'm sure that this is not going to be an exception. And I'd be curious to see how does it really differ from the original. But I'm not going to blind buy. So most likely I'm going to try and get a sample or a decant. Had you heard of this one? Are you interested in it? Is it striking your interest as we talk about it? Like, do you own the original Iris Cartagena or, you're really not into Iris that much? Anyway, let us know in the comment section. All right, so next, wow. Next, I'm telling you, we have so many new releases coming. I don't know how we're going to keep up. And for someone like me that sometimes I read notes or I read up on the concept and the vision behind the launch of a fragrance and I get like really, really excited and then I want to pick it up, but I can't pick up everything. But anyway, this next one, I think I'm going to have to blind buy this one. You're going to have to give me some grace here and some forgiveness because I think I'm going to have to blind buy this one because first of all, the bottle. But anyway, let's start talking about it. So this next one is from Stephane Humbert Lucas, and this one is called The Queen and the Viper. So do you see this bottle? How can we resist this bottle? Now, I know that there's a ton of fan members that are not into anything related to snake motifs on a bottle or otherwise. I get it. And I'm not too much of a friend of it. But to be honest with you, when it comes to Stephane Humbert Lucas, all of the fragrances that I own from that fragrance house pretty much, have the same bottle. So I've had to like get used to it. And I'm fine with it because the juice, to me at least, is really, really worth it. But this one, this green, my two favorite colors are like royal blue and like green, emerald green, and all the variations of green, right? So this bottle is calling my name to begin with. But let me go ahead and tell you what else I found out. So the official notes of the fragrance have not been disclosed yet. What we do know is that it's going to have an airy menthol. That's how they have described it. An airy menthol accord, and it's also going to have the note of papyrus. But I just don't know what else is going to be involved here. But I have to tell you, I think I own pretty much all of the fragrances that Stephane Humbert Lucas has launched. And with this type of bottle, with the exception of maybe two that I just really didn't like. But I really love the DNA of the fragrance house, and I love the way that he, creates these beautiful, beautiful scents. So I really should not blind buy this one. What do you think, right? Because I really love the bottle and I really want it in my collection, and for display purposes, it would look great. But I think I'm going to have to try and get myself a sample because the more I think about that airy menthol accord, How do you feel about that? Do you think that this is going to be a good scent because we trust that, you know, he's created so many incredible fragrances? Or do you think that, no, Arahi, let's just be cautious and get ourselves a sample? Anyway, so if samples are made available early on and I can resist for a while, I'll probably try to get a sample or a decant preferably, because you know how I don't like to test fragrances using a 2 ml, right? But if I do find a decant somewhere early on, I will be sure to bring it here for a first impression for you. But I hope I can resist, because that bottle is really calling my name. It really, really is. Anyway, moving on. Okay, so now for me, I don't know about you, but have you noticed that Born to Stand Out has been on a roll in 2025? I don't know, but it just seems that every time I'm preparing a Chatty Scent Corner video, I encounter data about yet another Born to Stand Out launch. I mean, we've had quite the number of launches this year. Remember that collection that came in like the very red, like deep red wine colored bottles that we talked about? I can't remember all the fragrances, but you remember that collection. And then we had the most recent Eau de Toilette collection. And then just last week, I announced yet another fragrance launch from Born to Stand Out. And this week I have another one for you. And this one is called, are you ready? Because this is really interesting, okay? A Corpse Secret. Yeah, that is the name of the fragrance, A Corpse Secret. Now, you know, Born to Stand Out truly does honor their name, because they do stand out. I mean, they really, really do. And I'm here to tell you that this one sounds really interesting. So let me give you more information. So this one is described as an extrait extreme. Now, an extrait is already extreme, but when you tell me extrait extreme, what are we to expect? I mean, imagine, right? Imagine. And this is also in collaboration with Le Samaritan from Paris. And guess who the perfumer is? Which you guys know that this perfumer also has been on a roll. I mean, Quentin Bish has been on a roll, but Jordi Fernandez, every week I have to mention him for one reason or the other. I mean, he has been on a roll, and honestly, I'm here for it because I just love his creations. I just love his approach to fragrances and the passion behind them and the intensity. There is just something about a Jordi Fernandez fragrance. Would you agree? Like, have you ever been a fan of Jordi Fernandez fragrances, or is this very new to you? Like, is he very new to you? But anyway, so this is what the brand has to say about this fragrance. Embodies elegance with an unexpected twist. Romantic yet untamed, refined yet rebellious, dressed in gold, a corpse secret enters like a dazzling guest ready to append tradition with unapologetic opulence. Yeah, that is what they have to say. You know, I'm just still stuck on the name, A Corpse Secret. I mean, right? And the marketing materials in support of this launch are also kind of interesting. I'll make sure to show you one of them because this is very, very interesting. But let me go ahead and share with you the notes. So the notes at the top are mandarin from Italy, bergamot from Italy, ginger, cinnamon bark, and saffroline. And then in the middle, we have orange flower absolute. We have jasmine sambac imperial, mahonial, Peru balsam resinoid, akigala wood, and praline. And at the base, we have cistus concrete, cypriol, patchouli heart, vanilla, and oud. Yeah, those notes all sound very interesting. And, you know, I have tried quite the number of the fragrances from Born to Stand Out. Like, I've either received samples or I have ordered, you know, like a couple of decants because some of them have really, you know, piqued my interest. But Born to Stand Out is the one fragrance house that I would dare say that you do not want to blind buy from them, because their fragrances are really special. But at that, they're not like your regular scent profile to me at all. They're quite complex, which I'm absolutely loving, and they're really different and interesting. So I really recommend that we all get ourselves a sample if we're interested in this fragrance, because and those notes are not telling me that this is going to be an easy one at all. I mean, cistus concrete and oud and patchouli. I mean, yeah, at the base, which means that you're going to get that at the dry down. But anyway, moving on. All right, and next we have a fragrance from Miller Harris, and this one is called Legato. Now, I have not tried a Miller Harris fragrance in a while. I do enjoy Miller Harris. I think Sturzo continues to be my favorite from the house. Have you tried any Miller Harris fragrances? Like, do you enjoy the DNA of that fragrance house? If so, which one is your favorite? Because I'm always looking for like my next love. And I don't have a lot of Miller Harris fragrances because I haven't had the opportunity to really try several of them. But this one sounds very interesting. So this is what the brand has to say about Legato. Enveloping, seductive, and sweet, the Eau de Parfum was conceived by perfumer Matthew Nardine as a modern interpretation of gourmand vanilla, blending cherry essence with sandalwood and musk. Wow. But let me go ahead and share with you the notes because I've been telling you that I'm a little bit cherried out, and this one definitely has the note of cherry. And based on the description that I just read to you, it sounds to me like the cherry is going to be very present. So at the top, we have cherry, prune nat neo JE, rum pure JE. At the heart, we have amber, benzoin, and sandalwood. And at the base, we have bourbon vanilla absolute, ambretolide, vegan orchanox, and musk. So I'm going to tell you right now, there's a whole bunch of notes there that I really need to go do my research on before I even decide that I really want to try this fragrance, right? And it's not available yet, so we have plenty of time. I mean, it sounds interesting because the way that they described it is almost to let you know that it's going to be more of a gourmand where the cherry and the vanilla have like center stage, but I could be totally wrong. I just really think that this is one that I'm going to have to try. I am pretty sure I'm not going to blind buy this one. Had you heard of this new Miller Harris fragrance? Are you a Miller Harris fan? Are you a Miller Harris fan to the point that you just blind buy their fragrances because you're really that loyal to the house and you just enjoy most, if not all, of their fragrances? You know, as far as I'm concerned, you can expect to see me with some samples or decants in a chatty scent corner at some point because I am pretty sure I'm not going to blind buy this one. I mean, yeah. But anyway, moving on. Oh, and next we have from the house of Dyptique, and this fragrance is being launched specifically for the fall season. And I already saw it available somewhere. I can't remember if it was Harrods, but I saw it available somewhere. And then I thought, you know what? I've said that I'm not going to blind buy. So let's see if we can find a sample or a decant or where you can go sniff it. And here in Atlanta, we do have a Dyptique boutique. And I did call them and I asked them, did they have the new one? And the new one is called Lazulio, by the way. So let me tell you what Dyptique has to say about Lazulio. A new chapter in the Les Essences collection. You know, Les Essences collection was the one that was launched, if I recall correctly, last year. I do have a couple of the fragrances from that collection and the bottles are just beautiful. And in that collection, they have Lilifia Bois Corset, which I love, Coral Oscuro, Lumimaris, and Rose Roche. So this new one has as the perfumer Quentin Bish. So imagine, okay? And the scent is inspired by the peacock feather, a fragrance conceived as an invitation to discover the elegance and majesty of this natural emblem. You know, the peacock feather is truly exquisitely beautiful. It's very colorful. There's just something so like whimsical almost, in my opinion, to a peacock feather. So if the fragrance was inspired by this, I think that it's going to have some sort of mood. And being that it's Quentin Bish behind it, I'm sure that we're all going to want to try it at some point or the other. I personally plan to go this weekend to my Dyptique boutique and try and get my nose on it to decide if I even want to then maybe get a sample to try it on skin because it's quite pricey. I think it's like for an 100 ml, it's like $340 or something like that. So yeah, and I'm just being very cautious, very, very cautious. So I think I'm going to try and get myself a sample so that I can try it on skin. And if I do, I will, of course, share with you during a chatty scent corner, you know, how did that all go for me and how do I feel about the fragrance? Anyway, So the fragrance is already available, and the notes are rhubarb, vetiver, floral notes, and benzoin. Now, I think I've told you this before, but whenever I see or hear the note of vetiver, I'm very careful because vetiver, I've told you this before, on my skin can go terribly masculine. Like a fragrance that's not even leaning masculine, that is truly unisex. If it has vetiver on my skin, it tends to go masculine. So I am going to be very careful, and I'm going to try it on skin. But this fragrance was launched September 3rd, and it's already currently available if you're interested. If I find it, I will definitely leave a link for you in the description box, along with any other fragrance that may be available, as always. Okay, so another fragrance house that I'm sure you will agree with me was so busy this year. Amouage. Amouage. I just can't wait to get to the end of the year where I share with you like my 2025 best fragrances of 2025, because I don't even know how I'm going to be able to really create that lineup. How am I really going to be able to select a limited number of fragrances to share with you? Because there have been so many new releases, and while I have not purchased them all, believe me, it may seem like I've purchased a lot, but compared to the number of fragrances that have been launched and that I have tried behind the scenes that I don't even share with you, it has been absolutely insane. But okay, so Amouage has yet another fragrance, and they've launched several already this year. But this one that I'm going to talk to you about is a very different concept than anything we've ever heard from Amouage and possibly any other fragrance house. So this one is part of the Essences collection, and I do have several fragrances, I think, from that collection, yeah, I'm pretty sure, but my favorite is the Outlands. I absolutely love that fragrance. Now, that is a collection, though, that you do have to be a bit careful, because all of the fragrances, in my opinion, are very much unisex, but a couple of them, if I'm honest with you, they do tend to lean a little bit to the masculine side. So you do have to be careful, and you have to make sure that you try them and not just sniff them in store. Try them on skin so you can make a decision. But the quality is unbelievable. The ingredients, it's just everything is perfect. But hey, we're talking about Amouage. But anyway, so this one, I could not get a good picture of this new fragrance. So I'm just going to put the name here, but I'm not going to put a picture because I couldn't get a good picture that, once I tried to edit and put it up for you, would really show you the bottle. So I'm not even going to try because it's being very hush hush. So the way that this is going to work is this is going to be an October launch, but the official launch is going to happen at the Opera House in Muscat. So, and in that opera house, they're going to have an opera called Sindbad, you know, Sindbad. So the plan here is that they're going to have a premiere where they are going to, of course, open the very first Sindbad, right? But they're also going to be taking advantage, and in collaboration with this opera house, they're going to be launching the fragrance. And while the opera is going on, they are going to spray the air with this fragrance to create an experience where people can appreciate, you know, what they're hearing, the music that they're hearing, and everything that's going on in addition to the scent. So it's a multi-sensory experience. That's the whole point behind this, is my understanding, which, wow, that really sounds like an incredible experience that I would love to be a part of, but of course, I'm not going to be there. So the fragrance, in the words of Amouage, captures themes of transformation and discovery with rare notes of honey, black tea, mango, and vanilla. So when I read that, I said to myself, rare notes, those are not rare notes. We've seen those notes over and over in different fragrances, but I think that what they're alluding to is that I don't think I've ever heard of an Amouage fragrance that, number one, has the note of mango, and number two, that has that combination of notes. And I have a pretty extensive Amouage collection, but honey, black tea, mango, and vanilla? No, I don't think I've ever seen that. Can you recall any Amouage fragrance that has the note of mango to begin with, or that has a combination of those notes, or even a subset combination of those notes? Because I really have not. So this fragrance is going to be launched in very limited quantities, and it's going to be available at select Amouage boutiques. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to try that fragrance. I have to tell you, if there's any way that I can get it, because again, it's an Amouage fragrance that has those notes, and I am very, very interested. I have a feeling that it's going to be an exquisitely beautiful, incredible fragrance, right? So I really, really want to try that. So anyway, all of that is going to be happening in October. I'm going to try and do my research and send a couple of emails to a couple of friends and see, you know, if I can get myself, even if it's a decant. And if I get a small sample, a decant, the full bottle, whatever I get, I will definitely come and share with you so we can just have that experience together, even though we're not going to be at the opera. Anyway, had you heard about this fragrance? Does that excite you at all? Are you into the Essences collection? Have you tried any of those fragrances? What are your thoughts? Or, you know, do you even have any Amouage fragrances? Or have you tried Amouage fragrances, but you're not really impressed? I mean, I think we've all tried Guidance at least, right? But I know some people really don't enjoy Guidance. So maybe you're not into Amouage. I'm just curious. Let us know, and I am moving on. All right, so the next fragrance that I have for you is from Lorenzo Pazzaglia. And every time I see a new launch from Lorenzo, I am so excited because his fragrances are really, really special and they are intense. And you know, the thing about the DNA of Lorenzo Pazzaglia, at least in my experience on my skin and, you know, to my nose, is that when he mentions a note, you are going to pick up on that note in the olfactory journey. But at the dry down, the fragrances are blended exquisitely, and it gives you a scent that even if you have other fragrance with those similar notes, the scent is completely different. I don't know, but he has such I just love his mastery. I really, really do. So this new fragrance is called Coffee Passion. And that's a very, very nice bottle that really does speak to coffee passion. Now, when I first heard about this fragrance, I thought, coffee passion, and coming from Lorenzo, which his fragrances are really powerhouses. Coffee passion, oh no, I do not want to smell like a barista. But in doing research, my understanding is that this perfume, what I found is that this perfume does not deliver the roasted bean sharpness that you find in like Theodoros Calatini's Coffee Addict, I would say. And it's also not the type of coffee that you find in Amore Cafe. So it has, you know, as always, Lorenzo Pazzaglia has done his own thing. So let me share with you the notes. So at the top, we have hazelnut, apricot, cinnamon, and coconut. At the heart, we have coffee, chocolate, caramel, tonka bean, heliotrope, and coconut milk. And at the base, we have benzoin, vanilla, sugar, white musk, and cedarwood. Now, I tell you right now that I think I'm just going to blind buy this one because I have the feeling that this is going to be a game changer coffee fragrance. I mean, I'm telling you, I really do enjoy his fragrances. So I think I'm just going to try that one. If I can find a sample, I will get the sample. But if it's too complicated, I think I'm just going to pick it up. But anyway, had you heard of that one? Do you have any of Lorenzo's fragrances? If so, which one is your favorite? Oh, there's so many that we can mention. My favorite continues to be Summer Hammer. So the reason I'm so excited about this one is because obviously to me, this is not like a summer fragrance. So this could become like my favorite for like the fall and winter if it becomes like my ultimate favorite. Anyway, let us know if you're interested or even planning to try this fragrance, which is your favorite from Lorenzo. If you own any, just share your thoughts. Okay, so next we have Bottega Veneta. And they have a new collection of 3 fragrances, and this one is called Mezzanote Collection. And you know, mezzanote means midnight in Italian, and I hope that I'm pronouncing it correctly. But anyway, so it's a trio of perfumes that embody, in the words of Bottega Veneta, it embodies depth, refinement, and sensual intensity. So it says here that each perfume is housed in Bottega Veneta's organically shaped glass bottle, which is presented now with wooden caps. I have to tell you, like, don't you think that this bottle design is very unique? I don't think I've ever seen anything like that before. An organically shaped glass bottle that's presented with a unique wooden cap and anchored by a cylindrical base crafted in black Marquina marble. So that base is going to be marble. I'm sorry. So you imagine the weight. So it's probably going to feel very, very luxurious. So there's 3 perfumes. The first one is Hinoki, which is this one. And Hinoki is a fragrance that marries fir balsam and Hinoki wood. So then there's Good Morning Midnight. And this one really interests me because this one has rose and oud. And I thought, oh, just another rose oud fragrance. But then it also has wild strawberry. Very, very interesting. And you know, like, coming from Bottega Veneta, I'm just at least going to get myself a sample and try them. I can tell you that they're probably going to be quite pricey, and I'm not just going to blind buy any of them. I'm probably going to try them. And then the last one is called Almost Dawn, which they say blends chestnut with a rare truffle and smooth vanilla into a deep and enveloping scent. So that one sounds very much like a gourmand to me. So anyway, I am going to try and get myself samples of these fragrances and bring them here to you and we can discuss them. But yeah, this all sounds very interesting, but I'm just not going to blind buy. Had you heard of this new Bottega Veneta collection? Are you interested in it at all? Are the bottles pulling you, or you're like, oh, Arahi, those bottles are not very cute? I'm not saying that they're cute. They're just different. And there's like an air to them. I don't know. I don't mind them, but I definitely am not going to blind buy. So expect to see some information around that here soon. All right, and the last update that I have for you today is Paris Corner. So, oh boy, get ready for this one. So Paris Corner is launching 2 gourmand fragrances, and they are coming very soon. A date has not been disclosed, but the first one is called Dulzura. Right? And it's already, you know, they're already like giving us sneak peeks on their Instagram. And Dulzura is described as the forbidden indulgence. And it is a gourmand fragrance. And I am going to share this with you, but please don't hold me to it. I heard a little bit of rumbling that one of these 2 fragrances that I'm going to share with you today may very much remind you of, guess what fragrance? Cirque du Soleil. Yes, you did. You heard me correctly. Cirque du Soleil. So you remember that fragrance that we all picked up last year? Because I think that unless you're not a gourmand lover or you don't enjoy gourmands, I'm pretty sure that almost everybody picked up that fragrance because it was viral, truly viral, and hyped for so many months. I mean, truly. But anyway, so this first one is called Dulzura, and at the top it has black pepper and buttermilk. At the heart it has cake, vanilla, and cream, and at the base it has amber and musk. So I don't know if that's the one. That does sound like if they omitted certain notes, we could get something very similar to Cirque du Soleil. But you know, Cirque du Soleil has, if I recall correctly, a popcorn note, and it's a very buttery popcorn. You know, that fragrance is like, it's like the collection of food from the fair. If you've been with me for a while and you saw me review that fragrance here, I told you that I felt that I was like at the fair and that I decided to have cotton candy because cotton candy is a note in Cirque. And I had a big sundae. And I also decided to have some funnel cake. And then I decided to have some very buttery popcorn. And then I decided to have like a candied apple. And I put it all together and just sat down on a bench somewhere in the fair. And I just started eating all of that. To me, that's what the Cirque du Soleil fragrance, the feel of that fragrance, that is what I get. And that is the scent. And that is what I get, which is incredible because it's very realistic. So I don't know if it's Dulzura that's going to bring us that's going to remind us of that Cirque fragrance. But then here's the next one. The next one is called Mehwish, and I hope that I'm pronouncing it correctly. This one is described as a nocturnal gourmand, and let me share with you the notes because I don't think it's this one. So at the top we have bergamot and honey, at the heart we have orange blossom and pistachio, and at the base we have vanilla, amber, and tonka bean. So yeah, this is all very interesting. I can't wait for these fragrances. You know, I'm a little bit gourmand out. I've been telling you, but these two sound so interesting. And if one is really going to remind me of Cirque, I'm just going to be like, whoa, oh my goodness, I can't even believe that this is happening, you know. But anyway, as soon as I get more information, I will circle back to you and tell you what I found out. Had you heard of these two fragrances? Have you seen it out there on Instagram? Because they've started to show some of the marketing reels and materials. Anyway, so expect to see that here very soon. All right, so today I'm going to do a first impression of two fragrances for you. The first one I already opened because it took quite a while to get to me, and I was concerned that maybe there was something wrong with it. So I did open the box. I have not sprayed it, but I wanted to make sure that everything was okay with the bottle itself. And it looks like it's fine. I did order this one overseas and it took quite a while to get to me. So if I do find it, you know, at a retailer that's reputable, and, you know, and I will give you, like, if I find it for a US retailer and find it for an out of the US retailer, I will leave both links for you. And I hope that I do find it, but I could not find it last night when I was looking. So the first one is from Montblanc, and this one is Signature Elixir. And here is the bottle. Very nice. As you can see, as always, very nice. All right, so let's go ahead and spray it. Very nice sprayer, not... Ooh. So the sprayer is very nice, but it's not like an open mist. It's more of like a targeted mist, if you saw that. Okay, so the notes of this one are orchid, vanilla, and amberwood. Now in the opening, I am getting a ton of vanilla, but I'm also getting like a fruitiness. I mean, this could just be me, but I'm getting fruitiness. It's very clear. I'm getting fruitiness, and I am getting quite a bit of vanilla. Yeah, but there is a fruitiness here. The fragrance is really sweet. I'm not getting florals at all whatsoever. It opens up definitely very fruity, very sweet, and with a ton of vanilla. Let me go ahead and let this sit here a minute while we move on to the next one to see how that continues to evolve. All right, so this next one, I'm sure that you guys have been waiting for this one, because really. And this one is from Lattafa, and it's Abiyedh Scarlet. And as you can see, I have not opened it at all. This was not sent to me, by the way. These two were not sent to me. I purchased them myself. And I was not going to pick up this one, but I decided to do it because so many of you requested a review of this. And there's been some comparisons out there about what this one should remind us of. And it just made me very curious. So I decided to go ahead and get it. So let me go ahead and open it. All right. And then is this like a sleeve? No, it's not. Oh, okay. That's very interesting. Look, it just comes out like that. Very interesting. And then you open it here. And let's see. I want to like reveal it for you. Like very nice. Oh, okay. So the bottle came the other way. Okay, so here is the bottle. And very nice bottle. Very nice bottle. You know, like all the Abiyedh fragrances. Very nice. And I like the detail. I always like the detail of like the little crystals that, you know, that they have on the cap. The cap does feel a little bit too light compared to the weight of the bottle, in my opinion, but I'm not hating it. I mean, it's just really nice. And for the price, come on. Okay. So let me go ahead and pull up the notes of this one. All right. So the notes of Abiyedh Scarlet are at the top, black cherry and pink pepper. At the heart, we have white rose, peony, tonka bean, and nutmeg. And at the base, we have sugar, vanilla, caramel, and patchouli. And I've heard a lot of rumbling that this one may remind you of Fetish Rose from Christian Louboutin. I don't know if that's true or not, but there's been a lot of rumbling. So I'm going to go ahead and try it now, but I will circle back with a detailed review where I will compare it to that one and any other fragrance that it may remind me of. But let's go ahead and spray it and see what we get, because I've really been looking forward to trying this one. All right, so here we go. Very, very nice sprayer. Okay, guys, so right now I am getting a little bit of Fétiche La Rose, but not like a terrible like reminder, if you know what I mean. Not like a super reminder. Yeah, let me just put this to the side while we go back to the Montblanc so I can speak to the Montblanc and allow that one to, you know, approach the dry down so we can really talk about it. In the meantime, like, did you pick up this fragrance? Like, does it remind you of Fétiche La Rose or any other fragrance? Can you please let us know in the comment section? I mean, there are similarities with the notes, definitely. Yeah, I just, you know, until I try a fragrance on skin and I really compare it side by side to the ones that they allegedly should remind you of, I don't like to speak. And the opening, it did remind me a little bit of Fétiche La Rose, but there is something there that I can't put my finger on it, but that's on paper, okay? That's on paper. So anyway, let me just put it down there for a minute, but let me sniff it really quick, because I'm so curious. Now I'm just curious. Okay, so let's go back to Montblanc Elixir, okay? So this is a very, very nice bottle. I am really loving that color, you know? Ooh, wow, this smells so, so good. Okay, I am getting florals now, but I have to tell you, they've only disclosed orchid, right? But nah, there's more florals here. I am not distinguishing one specific floral. I'm getting a bouquet of florals. And at that, I'm not sure that they're just white florals, by the way. It's almost like there's a mix here. But this smells incredible. Incredible. Wow. Have you guys tried the signature Elixir? You know, I know that many of you love the original. You know, you guys made me end up picking it up, and I really do enjoy that one. That one is incredible. But this is really special. I'm really, really liking this. Yeah, I'm really, really liking this. I can't wait to really use it a day or two and familiarize myself with it and really see not just how it performs, but what it gives me on paper and on skin. Let me do that, and I will circle back to you with a detailed review very, very soon, because I don't think that it's available, you know, like readily available everywhere yet. So we do have a little bit of time. But which is why I try to get these fragrances early on so that I can actually review them for you and give you my input to help you make a decision. But yeah, but I can tell you right now, this is a heavy like right now. This is like a love, not a super love. It's really a love, because the scent is gorgeous. Please let us know if you've tried this fragrance and what you think about it. So now let's go back to, yeah. No, guys, I have to, number one, you know, this one is going to have to sit for a minute with me. This is going to have to sit at least a week with me, because I just pulled it out of the box. I need to spray it out. I need to allow it to sit. It has been sitting for a minute since I received it. It really has, but I want to be fair to the fragrance. So I'm going to spray it out, and then I'm going to allow it to sit. Then I'm going to start working on it. So it may take me a minute, but it won't be too long. But I mean, honestly, you guys can wait, because this is not limited edition. So just be a little bit patient, because I don't just want to tell you something that may end up not being the truth. So I'm going to go ahead and follow my process, and I will circle back with you in a couple of weeks, because this one needs to sit. I can sniff it, I can get it, but I'm going to try and work on it starting a week from now. So let me see what I get. Anyway, moving on. All right, guys, so we've reached the end of today's Chatty Scent Corner. I hope that this was enjoyable for you. I have to tell you, it does not cease to amaze me the amount of fragrances that are being launched every day. And I don't know, is the expectation that people will continue to pick up fragrances at this rate? Because I don't think that's sustainable at all. I mean, while I enjoy a lot of the fragrances, I have slowed down to a certain extent, and I don't slow down more because I do what I do, right? Like I review fragrances for you, and I try to have a curated pick list for you for seasons, for occasions, and of notes, scent profiles, etc. But it's a lot of fragrances that are being launched. Like there's a lot. And the good news is though, that what I have found in 2025 is that there's been a ton of releases, but I have also found quite a number of them to be true gems that have been so worth it. Whether it's in designer, in Western niche, or in affordable Middle Eastern, or in luxury Middle Eastern, there's just been quite the selection of gems. So at least we're good there. Anyway, so I hope that this was enjoyable for you. And as I tell you every Saturday, I want you to have not just an incredibly awesome Saturday, but I want you to have an incredibly awesome, joyous, and blessed weekend. Sending you much love and blessings. And as always, thank you so much for hanging with me today. And I will see you all in the next video.